In a world where noise is constant and opinions are endless, the most powerful thing you can do is focus on yourself and stay silent. We live in a time where everyone is rushing to be seen, to be heard, and to prove something. But the truth is, real strength isn't loud. It doesn't scream for attention. Real strength is silent. It's built in the dark when no one is watching. When you choose to focus on yourself, you step into your power. You stop wasting energy on things you can't control, what others think, what others say, and you invest that energy into becoming the best version of you. In life, your energy is your most valuable currency. You spend it on thoughts, conversations, actions, and people. Whether you realize it or not, every interaction, every word spoken, every situation you mentally engage with either charges you or drains you. That's why protecting your energy isn't just important, it's essential for your growth and peace of mind. When you decide to focus on yourself and stay silent, you're making a conscious choice to stop pouring your energy into things that don't serve you. You're no longer giving away pieces of yourself to gossip, drama, criticism, or distractions. You're stepping away from the noise of the world so that you can tune into the sound of your own intuition. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts, your feelings, or your time. Some people will try to provoke you just to get a reaction. They thrive on your emotional response because it gives them control. But when you stay silent, when you don't respond to every opinion or insult, you rob them of that power and you hold on to yours. Protecting your energy also means being mindful of where you place your attention. It's easy to get caught up in the chaos of social media, arguments, or trying to explain yourself to people who've already made up their minds. But the truth is, every minute spent trying to convince someone of your worth is a minute lost from becoming more of who you are meant to be. When you stay silent, you give yourself space to observe. You learn who's real and who's just loud. You begin to understand what actually deserves your response and what's simply noise trying to pull you off your path. Silence gives you clarity. It allows your energy to flow where it's most needed, your goals, your healing, your mindset, and your future. Not everything requires your presence. Not everything deserves your voice. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is to say nothing at all and simply keep going. Growth is not loud. It doesn't demand applause or validation. It doesn't seek approval or chase attention. Real lasting growth is a quiet internal process that happens when you pull back from the noise of the world and turn inward. It happens in the stillness when no one is watching. No one is clapping, and no one is even aware that you're evolving. Silence is where you meet your true self. When you eliminate distractions and stop chasing the external, you finally make room to listen to your own thoughts. You start asking deeper questions. Who am I? What do I want? What's holding me back? These are questions that can't be answered in chaos. They require stillness, reflection, and honesty. And those things are only possible when you remove yourself from the constant noise and simply sit with yourself. When you focus on yourself in silence, you begin to build a deeper relationship with your mind and soul. You learn your patterns, your triggers, your strengths, and your weaknesses. You stop pretending to be someone you're not, and you begin the real work of becoming who you truly are. This silent growth often goes unnoticed by others, and that's okay. It's supposed to. Because real growth isn't for show, it's for you. It's in the small choices you make daily. It's in the discipline of showing up even when no one sees you. It's in how you talk to yourself when you fail, and how you stay consistent when results are slow. The world often celebrates loud success, but it rarely sees the silent preparation behind it. The long nights, the inner battles, the quiet self-doubt you fought through, the uncomfortable moments of letting go of who you used to be. That's the part of growth that no one posts about. But that's where the magic really happens. Silence also protects your process. When you're constantly talking about what you're going to do, you open yourself up to opinions, doubts, and distractions. But when you move in silence, you give yourself the freedom to make mistakes, to change direction, and to grow at your own pace, without pressure or interference. You're not obligated to explain your journey to anyone. The work you do in silence will eventually speak for itself. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to lose focus, peace, and purpose. In today's world, where social media constantly highlights everyone's best moments, it's easy to fall into the trap of measuring your life against someone else's. But what you often forget is that you're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. And that's not only unfair, it's destructive. When you focus on yourself and stay silent, you begin to realize that your journey is not meant to look like anyone else's. You're not in a race. You're not behind. You're not failing because someone else seems to be ahead. Every person has their own pace, their own timing, and their own set of battles that you can't always see. What looks like overnight success is often years of silent struggle, discipline, and sacrifice. Comparison takes your attention off your path and directs it towards someone else's. It shifts your mindset from abundance to lack, from gratitude to jealousy. You start focusing on what you don't have instead of appreciating what you do. You begin questioning your worth, your talent, and your journey, all because someone else's progress appears more polished or faster than yours. But here's the truth. Comparison kills creativity, confidence, and clarity. When you're busy watching someone else's steps, you forget to take your own. When you're too focused on how someone else is shining, you forget to recognize your own light. Staying silent and focusing inward allows you to block out the distractions, the noise, and the false pressure to keep up. Your path has its own unique timing. What's meant for you won't pass you by, and what isn't meant for you won't stay, no matter how much you chase it. When you learn to let go of comparison, you begin to trust your process. You begin to appreciate your growth, no matter how slow it may seem, and you give yourself permission to bloom at your own speed, in your own season, without constantly feeling like you're not enough. Instead of comparing yourself to others, compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Focus on your progress, not someone else's perfection. Measure your growth by how much more peaceful, disciplined, and focused you've become, not by likes, numbers, or applause. Silence is your power, because it drowns out the temptation to look left and right. It brings your attention back to your center, where all the real transformation begins. In a time where everyone wants to talk about what they're doing, what they're building, or who they're becoming, there's something powerful, almost sacred, about choosing to show instead of tell. There's quiet strength in moving in silence, putting in the work behind closed doors, and letting the results announce your presence without you ever needing to say a word. When you constantly talk about your goals, your dreams, or your plans, you open them up to unnecessary scrutiny, doubt, and outside energy that can easily derail your momentum. Sometimes when you speak too soon, you start seeking validation before you've even started the journey. You get attached to the praise of the idea and lose motivation to follow through with the action. But when you let your actions speak, you shift from being a talker to a doer. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to convince anyone. You just focus, work, and build. You stay consistent in silence. And when your results finally emerge, whether it's a healthier mindset, a new level of success, or a quiet inner peace, they carry more weight than 1,000 promises ever could. People respect results. They remember outcomes. Words can be beautiful, but without action, they fade quickly. Actions, on the other hand, create impact. They leave footprints. They inspire without shouting, and they gain the kind of respect that no amount of explaining can earn. Letting your actions speak also frees you from the pressure of constant explanation. You no longer feel the need to justify your decisions, your pace, or your priorities. You no longer owe anyone updates about where you are in your journey. You just keep showing up, doing the work, and allowing your growth to unfold naturally, without the need of external commentary. It's a mindset shift, choosing discipline over display, progress over performance, and mastery over attention. Silence gives you space to align your actions with your values, and that alignment becomes a language all its own, one that doesn't need to be spoken, only witnessed. You stop trying to sound successful. You start being successful in your own way, in your own time. Every early morning, every late night, every time you chose consistency over comfort, it all starts adding up. And when the time is right, those actions will speak so loudly, you won't have to say a thing. Discipline isn't built in crowds. It's built in solitude. It's in the quiet moments when no one is watching. when no one is cheering you on, and when the motivation is gone, but you keep showing up anyway. That's where true discipline is forged. Not in what you say you'll do, but in what you actually do, when it's just you, your goals, and the silence. When you choose to stay silent and focus on yourself, you begin to strip away all the distractions that normally pull you off course. The noise, the pressure to prove something, the constant need to share updates, all of it fades. And in that quiet, there's room for consistency. There's space to build habits without interruption. That's where you begin to train yourself to show up every day, regardless of how you feel. Silence becomes the environment where discipline can thrive. It's not about hiding. It's about creating a space where you can fully concentrate on your purpose without the influence of outside voices. It's easy to start something when people are watching, when the excitement is fresh. But can you keep going when it's boring, when it's hard, when no one claps for you? That's what discipline asks of you. And silence makes you face that question head on. Staying silent also removes the temptation to talk about your progress prematurely. The more you talk about what you're going to do, the more you risk tricking your brain into thinking you've already accomplished it. That false sense of achievement steals the urgency from the work. Discipline means doing the work even when no one knows about it, especially when no one knows about it. Silence teaches you to be accountable to yourself. You no longer rely on external validation to keep going. You don't need someone checking in on you or reminding you of your goals. You've built a rhythm, a system, a mindset that says, I do this because it's who I am now. That's the kind of strength that only silence can help develop. And as you remain focused and consistent, that discipline begins to bleed into other areas of your life, your mindset, your relationships, your daily habits. You become more intentional, more self-aware, and more committed to the version of yourself you're working to create. Because in silence, there are no shortcuts. There's only the work, the grind, the discipline of showing up over and over again until the results show up too. One of the most powerful things you can learn in life is the ability to choose your response, or more importantly, to choose not to respond at all. Every time you react impulsively to negativity, criticism, or provocation, you're handing over your power. You're allowing someone else to dictate your emotional state, your focus, and your energy. And when you do that often enough, you lose control of your peace. People will test you, some intentionally, others unconsciously. They'll throw their opinions at you, question your decisions, challenge your confidence, and sometimes even disrespect your boundaries. And when you feel the need to respond to every comment, defend every move, or clap back at every insult, you're giving them what they want, access to your mind and emotions. But silence is power. It's maturity. It's restraint. It says, I don't need to explain myself to anyone who isn't invested in understanding me. When you stay silent in the face of drama, chaos, or ignorance, you maintain control. You don't allow temporary emotions to steer permanent consequences. You protect your inner world from unnecessary noise. Every time you react out of anger or insecurity, you become predictable and easy to manipulate. But when you're calm, unbothered, and grounded in your sense of self, you become untouchable. Silence doesn't mean you're weak or passive. It means you're emotionally intelligent. It means you understand that not every situation deserves your energy, and not every battle is worth fighting. There is strength in silence, because it takes discipline to pause, to reflect, and to stay centered when provoked. That pause is where your real power lives. It gives you time to think clearly, to observe, and to respond intentionally, if at all. Reactivity is often rooted in ego, but silence is rooted in self-respect. When you learn to hold your peace in difficult moments, you also begin to notice how quickly situations lose power over you. Arguments you used to engage in no longer interest you. Opinions that once bothered you now seem irrelevant. You stop chasing closure or validation from people who never truly valued your perspective. You start conserving your energy for things that matter, your growth, your healing, your purpose. Not everything deserves a response. Not everyone deserves an explanation. Some things are better left unanswered. not because you're avoiding them, but because you've outgrown them. Focus is one of the most underrated superpowers in today's world. With constant notifications, endless scrolling, unsolicited opinions, and 1,000 things competing for your attention every minute, staying focused isn't just a nice idea. It's a survival skill. Without focus, even the most brilliant mind gets scattered. Without focus, even the most motivated heart loses direction. And without focus, progress becomes inconsistent, slow, or completely stagnant. When you decide to focus on yourself and stay silent, you're not just avoiding distractions. You're reclaiming your time, your energy, and your direction. You're telling yourself that your future matters more than the noise around you. You're shifting your attention away from things that don't feed your growth and turning it toward the things that do your goals, your habits, your mindset, and your well-being. Focus brings clarity. It strips away the unnecessary and helps you see what truly deserves your time. You start recognizing which people are adding to your life and which ones are pulling you off course. You start seeing which habits push you forward and which ones quietly sabotage you. With clarity comes alignment, and with alignment comes momentum. Progress isn't always about moving fast. It's about moving with intention. You can do 100 things and feel like you're getting nowhere. Or you can focus on one thing deeply and begin to see real transformation. Silence supports this kind of laser-sharp focus. It creates mental space, emotional calm, and a powerful sense of direction. You stop bouncing from idea to idea, place to place, person to person, and you start building something that lasts. When you're truly focused, you don't need to broadcast what you're doing. You just do it, day by day, step by step, and that focus consistency compounds over time. What seemed impossible a year ago slowly becomes your reality, not because you talked about it, but because you stayed locked in long enough to make it happen. Focus also protects you from being derailed by setbacks. When you know exactly what you're working toward, failures don't break you, they teach you. Distractions don't tempt you, they remind you of what you've chosen to prioritize. And opinions don't shake you, because you're not here to impress anyone. You're here to evolve. Progress doesn't demand perfection. It demands attention. It demands presence. It demands that you show up again and again, even when it's hard, even when it's quiet, even when no one claps for you. Focus fuels that kind of resilience, and it gives you the patience to keep going when results don't come overnight.